short for stormtrooper?
What's up, my friends? It is Stormy, of course, and welcome back to another episode of the Imperial Cantina. Man, I'm getting so good at that. And on this episode of the IC, I'm going to be discussing something that's been kind of a hot topic around the Star Wars community for a long time, basically ever since The Force Awakens came out. And actually even well before that, basically since Disney announced that they were buying Star Wars and that they were going to be continuing with the franchise and doing films. And that topic is, should we be doing 2 Star Wars films a year? Now, this topic is been on the fans' mind for a long time. It's been basically ingrained in the community for a long time because the fans have been split right down the middle. You know, basically Disney has been kind of in talks. They're kind of shifting back and forth, deciding whether or not to do 2 films a year or not. And the fans are basically split right down the middle. Some people are saying, no way, no, you know, we can't do that. It's going to be too much Star Wars. I only want 1 film a year. And then some fans are on the exact opposite side of that. They're like, oh, no, give me more Star Wars. I want to be oversaturated with Star Wars. I want 2 films a year. I want as much material as possible. Now, as for me, I kind of fall into the category of fans that leans towards the side of only wanting 1 movie a year. In fact, I would say that I am definitely in that category of only wanting 1 film a year. And on this episode of the IC, I'm just going to talk to you guys about why I think that and share my ideas and thoughts about that with you guys. And then, of course, you guys can share all of your ideas at the end of the video as well. So first of all, I want to talk about basically the most obvious thing we can talk about having to deal with the dynamics of the situation, and that is the wait itself. Now, the wait is a very special time for Star Wars fans, and I think that we're starting to lose touch with this. We're starting to lose appreciation for this wait. You know, because you guys have to remember that the wait is special because it creates this. It creates, theory, speculation, discussing ideas with fans. It creates YouTube channels. I created my channel in between the Force Awakens and Rogue One. And now here I am talking about Star Wars with you guys, which is keeping the discussion going even further. And that's what it's about. That's where the magic of the wait comes from. The wait is our time. That's fans' time. Our time to discuss with people all our theories and all our ideas to grow the community and keep the Star Wars community building as much as it can so it can just expand into the size of the Star Wars universe itself. So the wait is something that I think we're starting to lose appreciation for, and that I think we need to embrace that instead of running away from that. Now, the argument against that, of course, is that there's plenty of Star Wars movies to be made. We're going to, of course we're going to make tons of films, right? Well, no, see, not necessarily, because we haven't decided to make more yet. Right now there's enough for 1 movie a year. We have the Han Solo film, we have the Boba Fett movie is somewhere kind of like in limbo, but I think that they confirmed that, actually. The Boba Fett movie is going down. We have Episode 8. We have enough material right now for just 1 film a year, and that's okay. Now, if we decide to do more in the future, maybe we could accommodate that. Maybe that would be okay. But we're talking about way into the future. We're talking about way down the line. Right now we have plenty of material going on to only do 1 a year, and I think that's good. That's fine. They're selecting the best of the best to be made into films, and that's always the way that we want it to be. That's what makes Star Wars special, is putting work into 1 film. Just 1 amazing film a year, selecting the best of the best material to be introduced into the fans' community and back into the community again. We don't want just some kind of crappy little wayward story that you guys aren't going to put that much work into. Just put work in an immense amount of work into just 1 property, just into one movie, into one topic, into one part of the mythos, and make that the absolute best you can. You know, that makes the most sense for Star Wars. This is a treasured franchise, so we need that, you know? Because the problem is the oversaturation of Star Wars. That is the main problem behind all of this. Yes, the universe is expansive, okay? The universe of Star Wars is endless. You can tell stories for days and days and years and months and, forever, for eons and eons and centuries. You can tell Star Wars stories forever. The universe is so big. But why limit yourself to the world of movies? We've got Netflix, we've got comic books, we've got books, and this stuff is already going on right now. So what I'm saying is, continue this. We don't need to make everything into a movie. Because if we do that, it's just like I said before, if we do that, we start to lose touch. We start to kind of, spread ourselves too thin, as they say. And we don't want that with Star Wars. We want attention paid to one aspect of the mythology so that we can make that the best that we can make it. Otherwise, we risk it becoming oversaturated, where we risk just kind of throwing Star Wars films out. Yeah, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. And they don't put that much effort into it. I don't want that. I don't want them to do that. I want dedication with these films. That's the main thing. Dedication and passion, passion. We have to have passion about these films. As much passion as the fans do. Now, the realization behind all of this, realistically, a year is not a long time to wait. You'll hear most fans complaining about, oh man, but I don't want to wait a year. A year is such a long time, man. I don't want to, a year. I can't wait a year. Yes, you can. You can wait a year. A year is not a long time at all. Think about it. It feels like we were just celebrating, New Year's Eve 2 weeks ago. It's the beginning of February already. A year flies by, and it always does. Think about, how much we were talking about Rogue One, and how much that felt like just yesterday. That wasn't just yesterday, that was a long time ago. And here we are in February of 2017, already talking about Episode 8, already talking about the Han Solo film. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. A year is not a long time to wait. A year flies by. We've got so much to do and talk about this year, man. It's, Episode 8's going to be here in no time. So stop making the year issue such a big issue, because it's not a long time to wait, and we can, like I said, we can learn to be patient through that, and we can learn to be more appreciative because of that as well. Because this is the other point that I wanted to bring up here, which is probably the most important point of them all, which is that we risk Star Wars itself. And what that means is that we, like I said before, we risk Star Wars becoming too oversaturated in the community and in the society. And think about the rush of material that channels would have to deal with. Think about that, covering all those films. 2 films a year. That's no time to do anything. And not just channels, not just me, not just people like me, but you guys as well. Think about all of that material that your brain would have to store in your head. 2 Star Wars films a year, plus the comics, plus the Netflix series if there's one, plus all of this other, and Rebels, plus all of this other, whoa, way too much. It's just too much. You're talking about becoming so oversaturated with things that eventually it just kind of feels superficial. Everything just kind of feels superficial, we're releasing the next Star Wars film now because it's time to release the next Star Wars film. And we might have half-assed it a little bit, but, we have a time slot to, we gotta fit it in. Hey, we set deadlines. There's another problem. You set deadlines for things. You start putting writers under deadlines. You start saying, the film has got to come out at this time. It's got to come out at this time. And you start putting writers under deadlines, directors, producers, all the aspects that go into making a film. You start putting those people, you start making them sweat. You start stressing them out, and you just start this vicious cycle. that we can't afford with Star Wars. Star Wars is such a treasured franchise, and we absolutely cannot afford to do that. You know, we need time to, we need time for each film to blossom how it's supposed to within the mythology, or else you lose that magic. You lose the magic of Star Wars. And like I said, everything just starts to become plastic. It just starts to become fake. Like, oh yeah, like you know, here's the next Star Wars film. I know, what do you guys want next? Okay, here you go. Okay, what do you guys want next? Here you go. You know, there's no work, there's no effort, there's no passion put into it, you know? So that's the most important point that you guys have to take into consideration is, will things become superficial if we start doing 2 films a year? And I guess that brings me to another main point of the argument, which is that, you know, basically in closing, my main point is that this is something that I touch on all the time, is that there are plenty of new writers out there, and there always will be. You know, you guys got to keep in mind that before George Lucas was famous, he was just some nerd with a really, really bizarre story that no one really even wanted to touch, right? But he was just this unknown writer, right? Look at J.K. Rowling, right? A complete nobody until she was discovered, right? Everybody is a nobody until they're discovered. And where Star Wars kind of works into this argument is that if we're too busy focused on just one franchise like Star Wars, you know, doing 2 films a year plus all this extra material, then what happens to all those new writers, right? How many George Lucases are we passing over? How many J.K. Rowlings are we passing over because we're too busy with Star Wars? You know, and I'm not trying to sit here saying that, you know, Star Wars is going to end because of that. Star Wars is never going to end. Star Wars is always going to be a part of this of the theater community. Star Wars is always going to be viewed by audiences long after I'm gone from this earth. They'll still be making Star Wars movies, you better believe that. But we need room for new people to come through as well. Because you know, eventually there are going to be new Star Wars, new Harry Potters, new Hunger Games, new Lord of the Rings. There's going to be new writers and new visionaries, and we need to make sure that we're allowing enough space for them to grow as well. And that we're not just worried about, well, this is a franchise that everybody knows, so we're just going to milk this as much as we can. Star Wars shouldn't be that franchise. Don't let Star Wars be that franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically my main argument behind it here. And I've absolutely lost use of all mobility in my hands here because my Grand Moff Mighty has decided to join me once again for another episode of the IC, as you see here. Yeah, I know, because, you know, she agrees with me as well. You know, she's one of these cats that just believes, you know, 1 film a year is enough. You know, I think that Disney should stick with these December dates and make Star Wars that kind of that magical time of the year, just like Christmas. I think that's what they're trying to do, and why not? You know. So once again, you know, these are just all of my ideas. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Imperial Cantina. If you guys think differently about this, though, if you guys say, you know, no, man, you know, I think that you are completely wrong about this. I want 2 films a year. I want to be oversaturated with Star Wars. I want as much as we can to grow the galaxy. Then please, you know, leave all your thoughts down below. Let me know why you guys think that. You know, like, share your ideas with me. Let's keep the discussion going, and see what everybody says about this. Let's share our opinions, you know, and do what the community does best. Keep the discussion going, you know. So like I said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Imperial Cantina. I will be back next week with another episode of the IC, discussing a very, very interesting topic that was just recently brought up over on Max Landis' channel, actually. And he was talking about this very, very interesting idea that Galen Erso's manipulation of the exhaust port in the Death Star might have actually ruined certain aspects of A New Hope if you look at it from a certain point of view. It's an incredibly interesting topic, and that's what I'm going to be discussing next week on another episode of the Imperial Cantina. So make sure you guys leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void as always. And this is Stormy and Grand Moff Mighty herself signing off. I'll see you guys next week. And as always, until next we meet, stay in a galaxy far, far away.